A YouTube prankster got thrown off a Delta Airlines flight, and there's still a conversation going on about what exactly happened, but let's start with the video that launched this whole discussion. Take a look.
Guys, we spoke a different language on the plane, and now we're getting kicked out.
That's insane.
Now we're getting kicked out. We're getting kicked out because we spoke a different language. This is 2016.
Fucking crazy.
2016, look.
So that is Adam Saleh. He's 23, and he's claiming to have been kicked off the Delta Airlines flight. According to his manager, who told his manager told BuzzFeed that he always revealed his pranks in previous videos, whereas this latest one is, quote, as real as it gets. So people are discussing whether this was a prank or whether it was staged. He says one thing. Some people on the flight agree with him. Others, a lot of them seem to disagree with his representation of what actually happened. There's a person who said to BuzzFeed News, I would want to see the phone records because as he was leaving, he apparently was on the phone with his mother. This eyewitness says it didn't seem like he was actually on the phone. Someone named Anthony posted to Reddit that neither of them was on the phone, and whereas in the video they claimed they were speaking Arabic, they were, quote, speaking in plain American English. The YouTube guy was trying to get his friend to shout something in Arabic, which he did a total of 4 times. And then Jacqueline Williamson was another eyewitness who told CBS News. To be honest, it seemed more of a scene than anything had actually happened. I'm not sure what happened before, but the way he was acting in a very arrogant way immediately brought out the camera and seemed like he was pretty prepared before for what he was ready to do. Someone else said, just like you don't say the word hijack on a plane, you don't pump your fist and speak words in Arabic. So there's a lot of disagreement about whether he was actually a victim of racial profiling, or this was all a staged event by a YouTube prankster. Thoughts, 5 words or less.
Holiday travel already sucks.
Well, that attempt bombed.
Happy holidays. So yeah, what do we think, guys? Real fake.
This is, this also isn't the first time that we've covered YouTube pranksters on airlines sort of seemingly crossing the line here. I don't know, are either of you guys prepared to say whether or not this is a prank or not? I'm not really fully prepared yet to say what exactly happened. It seems like there are a lot of eyewitnesses that are calling into question the events that he says happened.
Right.
And given that they have nothing, they're not YouTube personalities, they have nothing to gain from this, I am inclined to believe that.
Yeah.
Especially since their stories corroborate each other.
I hate this guy's people. I hate all of his people. I hate where he comes
Brett
from.
is being racist. To clarify, he means Muslims or Arabs or brown people in general.
No, what I mean is YouTube pranksters. I think they're a degenerate race of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Some of them are close friends of mine.
I was gonna say, some of them are nice people, but like what they do on the internet is still pretty shitty.
Some of them are good on the internet, but by and large, your average, extremely successful YouTube prankster hides conveniently behind this banner of being like a satirist.
It's just a prank, bro.
It's just a prank. It's a satire.
Bro,
but
come on, it's a joke.
What's your satire? Explain it to me.
Well, a lot of the times it's also race fueled, and for the first time, we are seeing it on the other side where we're race baiting instead of going out to the hood and being like, I'm gonna step on black guy's shoes in the hood. You know what I mean? It's just most of those pranks are like that. But what I did want to say is, I'm sure you guys have heard of the story of a shepherd who would go up to the mountains and call wolf so frequently that eventually when the wolves did come down, the people of the village didn't believe him.
Yeah.
And that is literally what is happening with all of these pranksters. If all of these stories are real, if there was a terrible injustice that occurred here, I can't get myself to completely believe this person because he makes a living by playing the boundaries of what's true and what's not true, and then making things that are untrue within airlines too. By the way, he has a history of going
to the
and
airplane.
acting like he snuck into the airplane and putting together a video about it, and then not really saying whether it was a prank or it was fake or not, but then being outed by Tiger Airlines that literally said, "Good one, bro. We actually have footage of you entering the plane."
He's the worst.
Yeah. So, and then his manager is such a fucking manager too. He's like, "This one is really real."
Yeah,
it's like he's just like he's a hype man, basically. The way the way he explained it.
My phone, the internet has done some really great things in the world. It makes it so I get pizza faster. I can have I can get a ride on the street without having to wait for a cab. But the downside is internet freaking pranksters. Without YouTube,
I thought you were going to go to internet porn for a second.
Also, internet porn is way
great.
easier than having to go to like a newspaper stand.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Or like go hang around like a barber shop. But the downside is it's given us really crappy internet pranksters who, if they didn't have YouTube, would just be that shithead from your high school who fucks with people.
Oh, dude, I hated that same thing for MTV, like kind of legitimizing that genre of humans that are just subhuman with Johnny Knoxville
don't
and
say
like his
subhuman.
No,
Well, they weren't really like they were
That's
fine
different.
because it's a mix of because Jackass they were just making themselves.
They were
physically
pranking
unfit.
themselves. They're hitting themselves.
That's true.
In the
I was
balls.
referring
This
to like
is an
Bam
entire
Margera for the
airline.
most part. I really don't like him.
There were some that
Sorry.
were just playfully
Yeah.
running around
Yeah.
naked in a store.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
This affects people around you. This capitalizes on a really tense political climate, national climate, where
Yeah.
it feels like, our country is on the verge, and this guy goes in there with his stupid camera. You know what really rubbed me the wrong way about this story as well was when they noted that he was so quick to whip out his vlogging camera. And he had that at the ready. And that's so annoying. And I can imagine what it's like
Grace,
to
when
be...
we first started, you said you didn't have a position on this, but it seems to me like
Well, look,
you
I
have
don't
a
know if it's.
position on
What I'm
this.
saying is that I don't know if this is true or not yet. I am inclined to believe the number of passengers who sort of came out and were like, "Look, this is what happened. We were there," because they have nothing to gain. They stand up to gain nothing from just telling the truth or to lose anything.
Other things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, but I do think that it's really interesting that even if this incident is true, even if let's say that he was racially profiled, his first instinct would be to better, well, I don't know.
He's not alone. Everybody does that.
Everyone does that. And you know what? Actually, we have seen a lot of really awesome things from people documenting injustices or discrimination as it happens to them live. We've seen we've reported on a lot of really good things. So I understand if it was a case of racial discrimination, why he would whip out his camera. But if he's pranking someone and whipping out his camera, then it's just sort of this egregious attention grabbing.
Here.
I don't know, when it happens, I mean, this stuff has happened to YouTubers before. Like, if you guys remember the Sikh YouTuber, Just Rain, was apprehended in the airport, basically, and they strip searched him. And they made him take off his
He's going to have a sword.
Yeah, and
You kind of have to.
Okay.
Or you'll have a
I'm
little
just saying,
one.
they
It's this
really, I mean, that was horrible that happened to him. And that was racial profiling.
And see how differently it was handled?
Exactly. See how differently it was handled is precisely what I was trying to get to. Thank you. Like, he didn't whip out his camera and was like, "Look at me, I'm being racially profiled. Like, they're making me take my turban off. Like, this is bullshit." And it does seem a lot like he was trying to paint this narrative when the situation was happening, where it was like, because as soon as I watched it, there was something a little off about it, and I didn't even know he was a prankster.
Right.
I learned that after the fact, but even before I knew he was a prankster, I was watching it, and he was just like, "Look, you're gonna kick us out because
he was saying too much.
Oh, you're gonna kick us out because we're speaking in a different language. You're gonna kick us out because we're speaking in a different language."
It's also worth noting that if someone has to over-explain, it's usually because they're trying to over-explain their lie. So if someone is explaining too much and giving a little bit too much context, which I thought was very strange in that video too, like,
very convenient.
"You may have noticed that I am speaking another language."
Yeah,
like,
use the clip, the cutaway of Andy Bernard from The Office when he does that. It's just out of nowhere. He's like, "And I had to go because I was, on this thing." Anyway, so folks know what happened to this guy. He wasn't arrested. He was rerouted on a different airline, And even the Council on Islamic American Relations says, we're concerned about any allegation that a passenger has been removed from a flight for speaking Arabic. Racial and religious profiling of Muslims and those perceived to be Muslim is a real continuing problem, which I totally agree with. We don't yet know whether this case fits that troubling pattern and are currently trying to determine the facts based on input from all parties involved in the incident. That's the right approach. They're totally like, listen, it is a problem that he's talking about something that is an actual problem. Whether he was encountering that problem, we still want to find out. And then again, like, if you're being escorted off a plane by the in-flight team, when you start yelling and screaming, they're not going to say, "Oh, well, in that case, sit back down. You're going to be fine."
Yeah. For example, to be fair, you know who does get discriminated against? Alec Baldwin's. Alec Baldwin's get discriminated against on flights all the time.
Really?
Because they're always drunk and yelling. He gets kicked off of planes all the time. I'm just saying it's not like, yes, there are definitely very real instances of racial profiling on planes where they kick people off, but we talked about the Trump supporter who was just like screaming. They didn't kick him off because he was saying, go
what he was
Donald
saying.
Trump. It wasn't what he was saying. It was the fact that he was yelling and looked belligerent. And if you can do that, whether you're white, black, yellow, doesn't matter. You will still get kicked off a plane if you're being belligerent, and they have every right to do that.
And the person at the gate does not want you kicked off the plane because then they have to deal with rerouting you. So they'll try to put you back on the plane, even though the in-flight team has said, get this person off. Give us your thoughts in the comments section. We'll see you next time on Pop Trigger.